Okay, now we have come to internal order accounting. This is the last topic in the controlling module. First, we'll see why an internal order is required. We'll see the concepts of internal order in this topic. Okay. It's a relatively short topic. Let me show you the importance of internal order now. Okay, if you will look at this slide here, I used an example whereby the company is going to hold an annual dinner event very soon, and there's going to be a lucky draw competition at this annual dinner. So the finance people, or the admin people who are responsible for organizing this event, they're going to buy some gifts to be distributed during the lucky draw. So during the time that we post an FI document to post the cost of the gifts, we are not sure which cost center to post the cost of the gift to. Because at this juncture here, when they're buying the gifts, prior to the annual dinner event, they will not know the actual winner of the particular gift. Let's say they're buying about 200 gifts to be distributed during the lucky draw. The staff name who has won the gift will not be known until the annual dinner is held. So as you can see here, once the annual dinner is held, we'll know who the actual winner of each gift is. But at this juncture here, when they want to post the cost of the gift in the SAP module, they will not know who won which gift, and therefore, once the staff name is known, then we can post the gift to the respective cost center of the staff, because each of the staff will have his own cost center created in the system. So any cost arising for them will be posted to that respective staff cost center. So similarly, these costs for the gifts can be posted to the respective staff's cost center if the staff name is known. But the problem is, we will know the staff name only after the annual dinner is held. So in the meantime, we will not know the staff's name who will be getting the respective gift. So this is the reason we need an internal order instead of a work cost center. If we know the staff's name, I told you that we can post to the respective staff's cost center, but since we don't know the staff's names yet, we cannot post to the respective cost center. Okay? So, how can an internal order help this situation? An internal order is something like a temporary cost object. I could also say it's a temporary cost center in which we can park the costs of anything when the actual cost center's name is not known yet. So later on, when the actual cost center is known, we can transfer the cost from the internal order to the respective actual cost center. So the purpose of the internal order is to store the cost temporarily until we know which cost center to allocate the cost to. So this is a typical scenario where we don't know the actual cost center to which the gift's cost can be posted. So when we post an FI invoice for the gift purchase, we post it to an internal order first, temporarily. Then later on, once the annual dinner is held, we'll transfer the cost from the internal order to the respective staff's cost center. I'm going to show this to you using this example. So let's go and create an internal order object first. So maybe now we know why we need an internal order. But having said all of this, I'd also like to explain something. By now, some of you may be thinking, what is the problem if we use a dummy cost center as a temporary cost object, something like an internal order, to post the gift cost to a dummy cost center first, Then once the annual dinner is held, then we can transfer the cost from the dummy cost center to the actual cost center. So that is also possible. I'm not denying that. So instead of an internal order, we could actually create a new cost center, something like a temporary cost center, and post the cost to that temporary cost center. And then once the staff name is known, we can move the cost from the temporary cost center to the actual cost center. Nothing stops you from doing that technically. You can do that, but since SAP is a very professional application, it doesn't want to recommend creation of a temporary cost center or a dummy cost center unnecessarily. This is the reason it's come up with a separate cost object, an SAP object called internal order, to act like a dummy cost center or temporary cost center, whatever you call it. So the first activity is to create a general order to store this kind of temporary cost, okay, instead of creating a temporary cost center. Hopefully this is clear to you. Now let's go and create an internal order first. This is where you would create an internal order, controlling, internal order, master data, special functions, create. But before we create an internal order, we need an order type, because all the internal orders that we will create have to be classified under order type. Order type is something like a categorization of the order. Okay, I can show you a sample of what's already in the system. All these are order types, sample order types. So we need to create a custom order type using the prefix called Z. So let us do that now. If I want to branch out the config area from here, I can press F1 and then press this, customizing, so that it will take me to the configuring area. Internal order type is configured. Okay, you see this? Order types. We can double-click this to branch out to the place where we can create an order. All right. So otherwise we can go to the order directly, controlling, internal orders, order master data, define order types, and execute that. Okay. Let's check what is an internal order first. Double-click any one of these. Okay. See this? You just have to give an order type name and then a description, an order category, internal order controlling. There are a lot of other order types available, something like this, process order, and so forth. But in our case, since we are creating an internal order, we need to choose this order type and the number range that has to be used for this internal order type, because based on the type that we choose, the number range should be chosen from this available number range, because each of the master data that we create will be in the form of a number. Okay. And a lot of other parameters that we need to specify, such as planning profile, execution profile, and so forth. Okay, let me create one, a new one. I'm going to specify order category, internal order, controlling, yes, choose the first one. Order type is ZSUN, Sun internal orders. So based on the category we choose, this is defaulted, so we don't have to specify anything. Number range interval is not assigned. Let's assign it now. And save changes. And Let's choose OK. There are already some order types. Let me create one from the number. OK, these are all the number ranges that are already existing. You can see it here. Insert. OK. And scroll here. You can see all the number ranges that are already existing. You can use this existing number range or create a new one. All right. We can create a new one, a new number range, or we can actually use an existing one. Let's see if this can be used or not. Okay, let us create a new number range. Let's see, internal, order, sun, internal order number range. The interval that I'm going to use is this. Because the system is already suggesting an available interval range, the system will not allow an interval to be overlapped. So we can choose from here. These are the intervals which are not overlapping. Or you can enter your own number ranges without overlapping. So let us use this, 90001, to this, because it doesn't overlap as proposed by the system. Add it. It should be somewhere down here. Edit. All right, now over here. So let me see. Maintain text. Okay, let me maintain text now. Insert. The number range that we entered is this, so I'm going to use this as the text. I'm going to copy this and come here, select this, maintain text. I put something like this so that it is more meaningful. From here we will know the number range. So in order for me to assign this to here, I need to select this, internal orders, select it, and then select this, and then assign to my sun internal order type. We'll have a number range from 90001 to 999999. So the number range has been assigned. There are a few parameters that we need to specify, but let me see which are the important ones that I need to explain to you. Okay, the most important parameter that you need to specify is the settlement profile. Settlement profile is the one which determines to which visible object the cost contained in this internal order can be settled to. If you look at our example earlier, the visible object in our example is the cost centers, to which these staffs belong to. So we need to make it so that any internal order that we create must be able to settle the cost that is in this internal order to the cost center. All right, so how do we make sure this happens? We need to specify an appropriate settlement profile, which can allow us to transfer the cost from an internal order to a cost center. Okay? We will inspect what is in each of the settlement profiles, but now we choose 20, which is our internal order settlement profile. So we need to find out what is specified in the 20. To find out this, and to know why I'm choosing 20 and not anything else, let us check what is in the 20. Just press F1, and then go to Customizing, and press this, and choose this, Internal Orders Maintain Settlement Profile, so we can inspect what is in the 20. So it has come to SPRO. This is the full settlement part if you're interested to know. Internal Orders, Actual Postings, Settlement, Maintain Settlement Profile. Come here, and this is the 20 that we selected. Double-click. We can see some expanded parameters that are specified in this parameter 20. The important thing to see is this parameter. What is this to be settled in full? What does it mean? This means that if I choose this, if any internal order created under this settlement profile, which means any internal order that is using this settlement profile, cannot be deleted or closed if the balance in this internal order is greater than 0. As long as there is a balance in this internal order cannot be closed or deleted unless the balance is settled in full, settled 100% to the related object, be it the cost center or whatever it may be. Valid receivers, types of receivers that can exist for an internal order, is not only related to cost centers, it can also be a production order, WBS element, fixed order, material, network, and so forth. A range of costs including the GL account. But in our case, we're going to settle the cost to the cost center. So make sure this is specified as settlement optional, meaning that we can settle the cost to a cost center optionally, and all the rest is not allowed. Okay, that means under this settlement profile, I can settle this cost to a WBS element because it's settlement optional, or cost center, or production order, but not to a fixed asset, but not to a DL account. That's what it says here. So we have 3 options to choose. The other thing is, if I choose can be settled, that means if there's any balance in this internal order, if I want to delete it, the option that I need to choose is can be settled. So if I choose this instead of this, it means that the system will allow me to delete this internal order even if it has a balance, because settlement is optional. Can be settled means the settlement is optional. Settlement meaning the transfer of funds from an internal order to a valid receiver, one of these, in our case the cost center. But in our case, we want to make sure that we don't want to laugh away any balance in the internal order. We want to make sure it is transferred to a valid receiver, which is a cost center, before the internal order can be deleted or closed. So we need to choose this, all right? And you can see the default object here is cost center, meaning that if I use settlement profile 20, the valid receiver to which I can transfer the costs is the cost center. It can also be transferred to a WBS element, if I choose a WBS element here. But by default, it is defaulted to the cost center. All right. That's what is in the 20. Let's see what is in the 10. Just for example, 10, we have many valid receivers. GL account is also set to optional. That means it can be settled to a GL account. That's why they name it as all receivers, because basically it can be transferred to any receivers. And what is in production order? See, the production order is set to optional, optional, optional. Okay. So these are the various settlement profiles we have. Make sure I change normal. And that's to give a right idea of what is in the settlement profile. And just make sure that the default profile, which is 20, and make sure the object class overhead costs is selected. Because our gift here is known as overhead costs, so we can select this object class as overhead costs and save it. We can ignore any other parameters because we aren't going to do any planning and so forth. Save it. So we have a ZSun order type created. Save it. Go back all the way. So now we can choose. Okay, here we go. Let us select the newly created order type. ZSun over here. And press Enter. And the controlling area Sun. Whatever order type is to be created is above the controlling area, okay? Which means that the order type can be used for more than one controlling area. The order type definition is above the controlling areas, so it can be used to any controlling area. So let us use... we need to create a description, right? So let us enter Lucky Draw Gifts. Okay. All right. Object class, which can also be changed. And company code, we need to enter Sun. And order number will be generated here, which is a running number that we have created, assigned. Well, let me see what other things we need to enter now. Obviously, company code is 1. And user responsible. You can actually enter the person who was responsible for organizing this annual dinner. And then come here. Business area is required. Okay. Let me enter a business area. Let's enter corporate other. And coming on control data. Okay, nothing much in control data. The company code currency transfer between general order, because internal order has its own currency, which can be changed. But in this case, we just leave it as company code currency. All right. The important thing that is under the control data is, let me just check other tabs first. Okay. We can ignore all these tabs, and we'll go back to control data. An important status is the system date status, which is created. Until we release this internal order, we cannot post any values to this internal order. I'm going to show this to you shortly. Let me save this first. I leave it as a created status. Let me see what the system will say when I try to post something under the created status. No profit center entered. Okay, well, that's just a warning message. Just click through this. All right. See, the order was created with a number. You can recall that I did a number range that was assigned to this order type. So the internal order created is 90001. Let me post the gift. And then post it to the internal order now. Let me go to this. But I think I made a mistake. Actually, I should have stopped the topic after the explanation of the internal order concepts. But I have also covered the creation of the internal order. So, let me stop the topic here. To watch the full video, buy our SAP training videos at www.erptraining9.com.